Listen to The Cat's Den with Johnny Cat at utahmusicradio.com. Okay, here we go. Johnny C. Utah Music Radio.
You're listening to Radio.
All right, so we talked about growing up and everything like that. Now let's talk about the process from college. How'd you guys get into the college and then move your way up into the NFL? Like, what was the process for you guys? Like, what was the moment? Let's talk about that. But let's get into the college part first. When you got into college, what was the moment like? I don't know. How do you find out you got into the football team?
Well, I was recruited by Snow Junior College. BYU, I mentioned, sent my tape back. No Division I schools were really looking for me except for Air Force because they had a similar offense to what we were running. But I didn't want to be in the Air Force. When I heard the guys as tall, guys my height couldn't fly F-16s like Maverick and Iceman.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I'd be flying cargo planes or jet, something. I'm like,
yeah, you mean you're not 5'4", like 106 pounds?
It was right there. My dad was like, military education, that'd be great. And you would do really well there and have like a lifelong career and all that. And the real tipping point for me not diving in there was getting up early, making your bed stuff. I was sleeping in until 1 o'clock. Like, you give me an inch, I'm taking 2 more hours. I was just needed to sleep, man. I just didn't think I was cut out for it. And junior college, I went down there. I didn't love it, but I liked that I had an opportunity to maybe play. They seemed really cool. And then Weber State was saying, come up here and we want you. And they had a good history of tight ends catching the ball. Mm-hmm. And at my high school, I'd been blocking. And so I was looking forward to having a chance to catch the ball more. That's my favorite part of football. So it was, small local school. I was going to be able to see my family. They could see me play.
Yeah.
I'd never thought of going to Weber State otherwise. So that was, I was really lucky to be able to have that happen because there really wasn't any other schools that wanted me to come there.
So how many years did you play there?
At Weber State?
Yeah.
5.
You played there for 5?
Redshirted, proper redshirt year. And that was the best year ever because I got thrown to be against the starters and they just threw me around, these big old 6'4", 260 DNs. And I was still maybe 220 pounds. But I really learned how to run real routes, catch the ball. Our scout team was really good. And I was really coming into my own as a receiving tight end at that point. I think I got slower as I put on more weight. But being 220, I could really run. Nice. And then by the time I was professional size, I was running a real borderline 4'8". So, those big 4'8" tight ends.
Oh, yeah. I love them.
You're sick of us. But, yeah, Weber State was great for me. I got to grow up, put on about 10 pounds a year, being at the training table and in the weight rooms. And I got really challenged by the culture and just challenged to rise to the occasion and make the best of it.
The one thing I want to get into, but let's ask you, you're next, the difference, even in size from college to NFL is like that. Even the one season when you leave college and then you see the same guys that end up in the NFL, it's like, damn, are they steroiding that shit up? Or
no, that's your job. Like, that's all you focus on. When you're in college, you still have school, you still have to get up and, make sure your assignment get done. But when you're in the NFL, that's your only job. So that's the difference. Gotcha.
So how was it for you, like getting into college and working your way up, and what was it like for you getting in?
So after Inglewood High School, I actually had to go to a junior college. So I went to LA Southwest College. First year, we balled out. My second year at LA Southwest, I tore my ACL. Second game of the season, tore my ACL. I was going to go to USC or Oregon. That was I had other offers and stuff, but it was out of them 2 schools. And I was leaning towards the USC. But I tore my ACL, and then so BYU still offered me a scholarship after tearing my ACL. So that's why I came out here to Utah.
And you've never looked back since.
Did everybody?
Let me rephrase that. You've looked back, but
but it's just crazy how life works because I didn't know anything about Mormon, the Mormon religion until
you went to college, and then I was like, oh,
Well, after they offer me, I had to like look into it, and everybody was like, "Nah, don't do it. Don't go out there." But anyway,
they're gonna get you,
man. But yeah, I tore my ACL, and then I got other offers, but BYU, that was a year Luke Staley had went off, and I think they were like highly ranked the previous year. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm just trying to get in there and get out. So I took the scholarship and came out here in 2002. And yeah, so I got that year back, my second year back from junior college. I was supposed to play 3 years at BYU, but I ended up playing 2 years at BYU before signing with Cincinnati Bengals.
Nice. Okay, so then what was it like when you got the paper to get into the NFL, when they called you in? What was that like? Like, the process, was it the draft where they're sitting there and they're like, okay, they call your name, you're sitting in the living room like they show, and everybody erupts, the whole family goes off, or what was it?
So I didn't get to go through that process. That's what, I felt that was taken from me, but it was also my fault that it was taken from me. So I didn't get to go through the whole getting draft process because during the draft process, I was getting ready for my senior year, and this was coming off. We had one of the best defenses in the nation, and I think we were number 10 pass defense in the nation, and I was the starting safety, so that was major. So I knew I was getting looks from scouts, but during the draft process that year, I was still at BYU, but I ended up getting suspended from BYU, so I had to sign.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so basically Cincinnati called me out for a tryout, so I went out there and tried out, signed my contract like right after my tryout. But life is about timing. Everything that happens in our life is all about timing.
Well, look at us.
Yep, exactly.
Look at us. You and I, man. I mean, it's all, because I met you through Chris, so.
Everything that we go through is all about timing and balancing. So when I signed my contract that day, I just wasn't happy. It's crazy because that was my lifelong dream, but I knew it wasn't supposed to happen the way it did. So I knew I would have to, even though my mindset was, I was obsessed with football, but I knew that I was supposed to, be able to get drafted, and and that's the process that I was supposed to go through, not just sign as a free agent. So I was kind of pissed and angry around that time. I would have rather been at BYU, which is crazy, but I would have rather played my senior year at BYU. So,
yeah. What about you?
You could have really sent your draft stock up if you could have played your senior year. Without my senior year, I wouldn't have even been. I think the scouts come around to Weber State still, and then the next day they're down at BYU or vice versa, and they make their trip through the big colleges around their territory. Mm-hmm. And I heard when I was a sophomore at Weber State that they were looking at me as somebody who could develop, and that just was really a dream come true to hear that. I couldn't believe it. I was really excited. But then the fear sets in that, can I do it? The anxiety, like the imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And I was thinking, those pro tight ends are 6'5", 260, 6'4", 250. Some of them are 6'6", 240. I was like almost the same size. I was like, what are they doing that I'm not? Maybe I can do it, And I decided, like, the pressure. I had this moment where I was competing against two guys that were extremely good at Weber for starting job. And my freshman year, I'd come in and done really well as a redshirt. And then as a freshman, I broke my foot. But I was second string tight end as a redshirt freshman. I broke my foot. I was out the rest of the season, and I came back pretty top heavy because I hadn't worked out my lower body because my foot. But my top, I'd worked out every day, so I had a big old. I just wasn't that good that spring ball. Coming back from that, I was up against some guys that were really good, and I was feeling demoralized and a lot of pressure. And so I was like, I wonder what they're feeling like, because I'm pretty good at catching the ball. I'm pretty good at blocking. This one guy's really good at catching, terrible blocking. This guy's really good at blocking, terrible at catching. They probably are feeling just as much pressure tonight about me. I'm just stressing out in my own head. So really, maybe I am the pressure, and I shouldn't be feeling like I'm absorbing the pressure. I've got to flip my perspective. And so after that, I started going to practice, like just applying my best and knowing that it is going to wear people down. I am going to earn my spot back, and I needed to work harder in the weight room and get my legs stronger. And by the time I was a senior, I was getting scouted all the time. There were scouts at our practices all the time. And I caught the most passes in 1AA football that year for tight ends. I got thrown to constantly. Me and the quarterback had a good rapport. And I got out to a hot start that senior season. Got a few touchdowns in one game. Got 9 catches, over 100 yards. Those, big games where they're like, "Are you as good as Todd Heap, who was Arizona State's first round Baltimore Ravens draft pick?"
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know. He's excellent, so I'm just trying my best. I don't know, but all of a sudden they're like, "What can you do? Where are you going to stack?" And I'll tell you what, the draft day they said I was going to be, after I ran that sweet 4.85 or whatever at the combine. I mean, I really wasn't as fast as I needed to be. And it was the best I could do, man. I worked out so hard. So I just did it. I mean, God's gifts are, there's some of them. I got some of them, but some of these guys are just so talented, such amazing athletes. And I was out there ready to mix it up, but man, I found out where I stacked, and I was a free agent. The whole draft went by. I didn't have a lot of people over, but it's still a matter of pride. And every single second went by, and I got phone calls from the Arizona Cardinals calling me. They're like, "If we take another tight end, it's going to be you." And I'm like, "Okay." And they had the last pick in the draft, and I'm like, please don't do that to me. Please don't make me the last pick. Because my friend had been the last pick at Weber State, and I'd gone to the whole party, and it was cool. But me and him weren't as good of a friends anymore, and I just didn't want it to be me. And I didn't want that to be part of my story. So I was like, please, I hope Arizona doesn't draft me. And my agent was like, "You're better off being a free agent, so we can choose what roster to put you on, rather than being drafted by someone and you're their 5th tight end and they don't even give you a run. So sit tight. There's several teams that want you. They're all trying to get you for cheap. Obviously, that's how it works. We just need to get you into camp, and don't worry." And I got to play in the East-West Shrine Bowl, and there was a scout there for the Steelers who I was talking to. He was asking me how it was going. And it's, the East-West Shrine Bowl is a really great, it's developed into a really big deal. And it was back then. And I was really proud to be invited. And I credit my agent for getting me in the game. And this scout there, he's like, "How's it going?" And I'm like, "It's really fun to be in these huddles with the helmets from these big schools, And I'm in there representing Weber State. And he's like, "Yeah, well, just wait till you're in a huddle with all Pittsburgh Steelers helmets on."
Dang.
And that gave me chills, man. And I was like, "You're right, bro. That's gonna be huge." So the draft's going by, and Arizona's picks coming up, and I'd gotten calls that I was going to maybe get drafted by Jacksonville or maybe the Redskins. Back then, the Commanders now. Mm-hmm. Arizona picked a tight end. It wasn't me. It was BYU's tight end, Tavita Ofahengawi.
Oh, wow.
I don't know if you met Tavita ever. And I was like, okay, no, he can be the Mr. Irrelevant. They lied to me. This is a little bit of a business. And my agents, and then the coach, the tight end coach of the Redskins was calling me, and he's like, "We want you. Let's sign this deal." And I'm like, "Okay, get my agent on the phone. I'd love to play for you." And then my agent's like, "It's down to Washington and Jacksonville, and Jacksonville's a better situation. You're going to Jacksonville." So I was like, "Sweet," because I liked it. I liked that idea of going to the Jaguars. They were a great team, and they only had 2 stud tight ends. The 3rd spot was open. So.
And you got to
my
realize.
free agent day, my draft day ended. I waited, but I ended up in a great position that I was able to go down there and work hard and capitalize.
Yeah, and realizing, as you're talking about the draft, and it just dawned on me that it also dials into the coach. It's like there's 7 other guys waiting to take your place, and you got to realize that every one of those people that are in the draft are filling in those spaces of people that just didn't cut it, didn't make it. And it's like, oh yeah, and so...
Well, I'll tell you what ends up happening, man. Like, you go to the workout at the Bengals, they watch you move through a series of things that they've watched 18,000 other dudes do. And if you don't move right, you can't compete. And they saw you move, they saw you do your drills. This kid comes out of breaks, covers, has the instincts, has the intensity, has the attitude. Like, we're signing him today. We can't miss on this opportunity. He's ready.
Yeah.
So it's just, are you ready or not? Because after I got cut, I had a hard time really reestablishing anything. Went to 3 more training camps, went to Europe twice. But
didn't you call it Jags or something like that? The guys that are just...
Yeah, the scouts called us Jags if you were a free agent rookie. Did you ever hear that? Yeah. Because we walked by them on the way to practice once, and it was like the group of free agent rookies heading out for our time or whatever. And the scouts are lined up with all their pads. Do you remember that? There'd be like 17 dudes on the side of the field, just all...
The Jags, huh?
Well, they said it's an acronym for just a guy, because one of them was like condescending in how he said it. He was like, "Let's go, Jags. Good luck, Jags."
Wow.
And he was just making a joke to his friend, and I just heard him. I'm like, "Why did he say it like that?" Like, what's his deal? And then this other guy's like, he's calling us a pawn.
No, shit.
It means just a guy. And that was just the term they had for the fodder, you know?
Yeah, because they already had their big contracts.
Yeah, they know
their
4 of you is going to
know.
make it out of 25. You know, there's 3 spots.
Yeah, I heard some stuff, but I never heard like Jags, like, you know, the guys that got their big contract talking down on.
Yeah, this was the scouts. I honestly, the guy, bro, I was a punk. But I looked at that guy, and in my head, I was like, fuck you fucking loser. Do you think any of us dream to grow up and be a scout?
Yeah, right. I mean,
Isn't there any part of you with respect for this side of the equation? You know, I was so condescending in my head. I had no time for old people's shit by then.
Oh, yeah.
And that was to my detriment. I had a real hard time letting in wisdom. Because you came up with Utah and got a little taste of Mormonism, and I was raised in it, and I was marinated in it, and I was like done listening.
Yeah.
Everybody's stuff. I was
You're like, I'm good.
Yeah, and so I had a real hard time, like, basically with authority figures-ish. You know, my coaches I respect, but man, that guy made me angry. But those little chips on my shoulder helped, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Because what are you going to do? Get cut? Prove them right? I do suck. I'm just a guy.
Yeah,
you got to
shit,
make it,
man.
or else you can't win that equation. You got to win.
So from there, you get into the NFL, you're playing, and now you're at the cutting point. What was that moment? What was the moment when they're like, good to see you, bye? What happened? What was that day for you?
Wow, I remember that day like it was yesterday. I was sitting in my room, and one of the coaches came to my room, sat on the bed. He was like, "Well, James, we got a flight for you. Where you want to go?"
Oh shit!
Yeah, where you want to go? And I remember this because it was a gut wrenching feeling, and I didn't want to go back home because, you know, I was everybody's inspiration. I was looked up to by all my cousins. So yeah, I didn't want to go back home, but I did. I said just back to Inglewood, and I always felt like a failure, and I let everybody down. So like as soon as I got back to Inglewood, I was trying to figure it out. Like I came back to Utah so I could work out because I couldn't be home. I let everybody down, and that was me in my head. You know what I'm saying? So after, you know, being in Inglewood for about maybe 3 weeks or a month or so, like I came back to Utah, found a place to stay, and start back working out, trying to get back on the team.
Nice. If you get let go, can you get back on as a free agent if you prove yourself?
Yeah.
Or is that how's that
You
work?
can. Yeah, you can. But remember, my timing was all messed up from being suspended from BYU.
Oh, right.
And missing the draft and going through I didn't get to go through the process of being picked. The next year upcoming, that's when I was supposed to get picked, and you know what I'm saying, and that didn't happen. So the timing was all off, and you know the reason I got suspended, that didn't look good. You know what I'm saying? So it was life is about timing, and timing was messed up for me, and I knew it. So I knew I let my mom down and all my little cousins, because I was the first person to even get to the NFL. You know, so it was a tough time for me.
So how long were you on then on the team?
That training camp, like 3 weeks. I was 3 weeks before I got let go.
So you were on and off pretty much.
Yep. So I trained for him. I worked out for him. Signed. Was on, but basically it's a business. They already had their rookies that they signed, and you know, so out of all the guys. Oh, and I think I had threw Ocho Cinco down too, like he was running reverse, trying to run on me, flipped him down, and a little bit after that, I got cut. So
It's historic.
Because me, like I go hard. I don't know, like, so the whole NFL thing. Honestly, our defense at BYU, it was more intense, and we run everywhere. And and I was getting called out in film, like every film, like good job, Allen. Hey, y'all got to run like this, because that's me. Like I'm little, but I'm not. You know what I'm saying? So every film session, he'd call me out like, hey, good job, way to run to the ball, way to do this. And And one play, Chad Ochocinco, he did a reverse and he thought he was trying to shake me, but I don't miss tackles. And I flinged him with my index finger and flung him, and coaches ran to me, hey, everybody, because that's a star. And then I think like 3 days after that, Coach came into my room, was like,
hey, you heard our star player, yo. No.
Do you think that was part of it?
No, it's just like for real, the timing part. Like they had their guy that was guy that was actually talking. I forgot his name. He was from Florida. He played for Florida. He was a corner because I was a corner as well. They had signed him for maybe like $6 million. So he came. So as soon as I got there, like he was just like talking shit, like, oh, y'all rookies, y'all better go get a loan because y'all ain't gonna be here for long. You know what I'm saying? Just talking mess, like how you were saying, just being talking down. So for me, I was like, man, like I knew like their defense was weak, and like I didn't want to be a part of that defense, honestly. But it's like that was my dream to be in a league. But the fact that I knew it wasn't my right time. I knew it, man. I was even like, I was like talking shit to coaches, like, when they talk shit, like I don't know, I just didn't want to be there. I would have rather been at BYU, even though I hated the culture around BYU, but I would have rather played my senior year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So now you're coaching though.
I just coached my son's team.
Well, no, dude. But now you're coaching football. What are you taking from what you learned from college, high school, college, NFL to your team now?
Inspire. I'm just here to inspire and motivate. My first practice in Pop Warner football, I had a coach. He was actually a gang member. He got killed. He was my boy's brother. I remember practice like running harder than everybody else. And he said, "Damn, James, if you keep working out like this, you're going to be something special." And that stuck with me even now.
Nice.
I was working harder than everybody, and somebody seen that in me. So that's what I try to do, to my kids I didn't coach last season, but when I do coach, I'm here to inspire and motivate and hopefully spark something, because football is not just football. It's about the way we carry on.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a life. Yeah. It's the way we carry on in life.
Yeah. How about you?
You want to hear how I got cut so many times? What?
Well, what was
I totally agree. I love hearing that you're coaching and the inspiring thing.
Yeah.
That one of our coaches at the Jaguars said the need to control stems from the failure to inspire.
That's a hell of a message.
Yeah, he had great quotes, and that helped reframe how I treated my family.
See?
Yeah. That's the one thing about, when they interview the football players at the end of the game, and it's always like a scripted line. It's like, I want to thank God. I want to thank, my family. I want to thank, but at the end of the day, it's really a lifestyle. It's beyond just the cliche lines. It's literally what the culture of the game itself teaches the players, and then outside of off the field, family, teaching, coaching and all that. I mean, it's
well, dude, think of the loss he explained. Think of the loss he explained. A coach comes in and says, "We got a flight. This is over. You have to go home and face failure in front of everyone who's believed in you, and this has been a multi-year, lifetime-long effort. All your specialness is now being evacuated into loserness." Or whatever, it is a dark moment for a high achiever. And if you really look at it arbitrarily, that is, you are just on the pinnacle of excellence, discipline. There's just might be 150 people left in the world who can also hang out in that realm, and we'll call you back if we need you. You're so close and excellent, but you go home feeling absolutely emptied out. And for you to go back to, I think it's to your credit to get back into Provo and get back into rhythm and get back ready. I got down to Jacksonville and I knew that third spot was open, and there were 6 of us. And so I was looking at 3 guys that I knew were the last 3 on my list. And I just pictured myself, like me and my mom used to do visualizations of me playing in the stadium and things going well. The 3 guys I had to beat ended up being like 5 or 6 guys, because as they got beat, they got replaced, and they beat, they got replaced, and it just ultimately it was never over. But in that rookie year, I got to where I beat out I just knew I was outperforming them. I knew everything. They were giving me a chance. They're giving you reps in practice. You know you have a chance. When you're not getting reps in practice, you have no chance. So I learned that later. Like when I wasn't getting reps, like you don't even have a prayer here. You're a camp body.
Right.
Practice only. And then, so this first year though, I was like, I'm the third guy. I can't see anybody here who anyone in their sane mind would keep ahead of me. And I went into the final cuts, sleeping easy. My hotel room was a mess. You know how that gets, living out of a hotel. And I'm not extraordinarily organized, so I just had laundry to do all over the place and trash to take out. And then I got a phone call on that cut day, and it was Pro Personnel Director Fran Foley, and he's like, hey, come on in, bring your playbook. And I was like, am I on a flight? Because I'd heard that some guy's flight's in 20 minutes, you know, get on the bus that's outside waiting for you. You got to fight in an hour, like type of things that happen. And I was like, I got a lot to clean up. He's like, actually, we're going to keep you around and see if you clear waivers. We want to sign you to the practice squad. And yeah, just bring in right now. You're okay. But yeah, you'll be in Jacksonville for the next 24 hours and we want to bring you back in if nobody else takes you. And I was like, okay, I'll see you in a little bit. And I hung up the phone and just lost my composure, man. I just cried as hard as I'd ever cried. I could not believe that they weren't keeping me as third string and they're going to put me on practice squad. I felt like I'd made it. And then, they'd brought in a long snapping tight end at the 11th hour and cut a defensive tackle long snapper who was my friend. He went to Dallas. And the third tight end is the starting long snapper. He's a total pro and he's a serviceable goal line back in tight end. So what am I going to do, you know? So I just took the job, went in the practice squad, and started getting first team reps, starting offense and defense. It was, again, like my redshirt year at Weber State. It was like a really important time for me to actually learn how to compete. Because if you're really going to get on a field in a real game, it is beyond full speed. So to show it in practice, you know, that was always, you had to make practice harder than the games and all that. So yeah, so I actually had a real hard time getting cut and put on practice squad, and I still had a full-on opportunity, kind of being a brat. People are back home trying to get a new workout and whatnot, but the next year, so everything went well, and I ended up second string tight end. I had 2 starts in a double tight end formation. That's the only way I got credit for that, because I no way I beat out the starter. But I ended up getting re-signed and not sent to Europe, and they were sending a lot of people to Europe that required a little bit more development, or they wanted to see more out of. But they thought they could grow me more being in Jacksonville in the off season. So I had 100% attendance on that. But that's when the Olympics were. So I partied my face off and I really wasn't in total shape. And I needed a break. That I kind of got beat up a lot by that first year. Yeah. I didn't even leave my house for a week after the season ended. Then fast forward to the following camps, I had to actually get myself into shape. I looked bad on film. They brought in a 4th round pick who was a horse. And they brought in a guy who used to start there, Pete Mitchell, who was a 10-year pro and absolutely professional and excellent. So all of a sudden I was back to 5th place and really didn't have a real good look at making the team the next year. Got a high ankle sprain and I was rehabbing it during the preseason when I needed to be out there playing. And then as soon as I could run on film, you're released, no money. And I'm like, I can't even do a route right now. And my agent's like, yeah, they got film of you running, so it's over there. You just sit tight. You might get signed somewhere. But Coach called me in his office and gave me a really nice compliment. Coach Coughlin said, you might get picked up tomorrow. He was nice to me on the way out. Yeah. And then I didn't get picked up tomorrow. I got to work out with the Colts. I probably ran a 5 flat. And, and then I got to go to Europe, and the Raiders signed me. And I got a chance to go to Europe that spring. I came back with the Raiders, made it to last cuts. Cut again, going home, it's over. By then I was married. Kind of knew what I wanted to do next. I wanted to get into pharmaceutical sales, but it's weird with football wasn't really out of my system. Could I still make it? And then that next year I went back to Europe again because one of the coaches wanted me to come back over there, and I played in Frankfurt. The first year I played in Berlin. Then when I came back from Frankfurt, I had a call from my agent saying the Chargers want to sign you. And their pro personnel director was Fran Foley, the guy that had called and cut me onto the practice squad for the Jaguars.
Oh, jeez.
So that's how it works is somebody's seen you work and they trust you. He told me later, you know, we need to sign some tight ends. I got 7 guys on my desk who want this job, and I went with you, you know. So it works both ways. And I was given a chance on the Chargers, and I got to meet Phillip Rivers versus Drew Brees when they drafted Phillip Rivers.
Oh, wow.
I got to meet Antonio Gates when he was going his second year, and the tight end was like, coach was like, listen, we're going to start this Gates kid. We think we got something with this Gates kid, and but you're going to get a chance to compete, you know.
So here's a question. Did you guys ever get any autographs? Was there anybody that you got to see or sign or anything like that? Or
Heck no. I wouldn't. Heck no.
Not even on BYU? Anybody on the team in BYU that you're like, shit, this guy?
Nah, I wasn't in that state of mind to get anybody autograph. Because I was always like...
They want my autograph.
Well, not necessarily, but I wasn't... Like, I didn't care about, I was just there to compete, you know? So, like...
I guess that would be the end of the game when you're like, good game. Like you're saying, you wear them down to the point where it's like... like
so
they're your friends at the end of the game, you know?
So, on the team, on the Bengals team that year, it was Carson Palmer, Dick... that's his name? I forgot the starting quarterback, Kidna. Chad Johnson was there. Peter Ward, that's the year Peter Ward, like he played a little bit. And I didn't care. Chad was dope. Like he made training camp, like for me, because I wasn't in a good state of mind. Mm-hmm. But he made it fun. Me and him used to go at it because, I was a safety. Mm-hmm. And, I was more of a physical corner. So they usually, when I would go up against any of the receivers, they, I got a safety on me. Here we go. Let's go. So they, so me and Chad, he used to talk shit to me a lot. But nah, man, I didn't care about autographs. But the best part of training camp for me that year was talking to kids after, giving them autographs and just inspiring. So that was the best part of being in the NFL for me, or you know what I'm saying, being in training camp, talking to the little kids coming up to me and, trying to get my autograph because it's like, this is what it's all about. It's about inspiring or motivating.
Well, this is how you got started, right?
Yeah,
like you watched it and then you were there,
Yep.
I love that you said that because I gotta say this story. The Chargers, I talked to Fran Foley on the way to practice, and I was like 7th string tight end, not even getting reps on special teams. And I was probably the best I'd ever been as a player, well trained, fit. And I said, hey man, why'd you bring me here, to be 7th string? And he's like, obviously I know you. I'm going to assign you over someone else. If you're available, I wanted you here. And I was like, thank you for that compliment. It might be time to cut me if there's someone else who needs me type of thing, or I don't know if I'm going to, Mm-hmm. And he did me that favor. And they cut me early before the first preseason game in 2004. Then 2 days later, I got signed to the Rams. My agent calls me. He's like, the Rams want you. They've had a couple injuries in camp.
Wow. You
down? I'm like, I'm down, dude. Fly to St. Louis, whatever. Drove up to Western Illinois University before the first game. They're still about to scrimmage the other team. Like another team comes out to scrimmage. It was the Bears. And I'm rolling out to practice versus the Bears. I'm running one-on-ones versus Mike Brown. You remember Mike Brown? Mm-hmm. Out of Nebraska, mm-hmm. All pro with the Bears with Urlacher. Yeah, man, I got to run a one-on-one against him, and I gave him a little move I learned from Pete Mitchell, who took my job in Jacksonville, but it taught me some good things. And it worked on Mike Brown. Bad pass, the ball went over my head, but I still was like, oh, man. If I can shake Mike Brown on a Y option, I can run a Y option on anyone in this world. And these fans are on the side, and they're like, go Bears. I'm walking with my Rams helmet, and I was just looking at them, and I was like, you know what? Go Bears, dude. I might be a Bear tomorrow.
Right.
Just ran around on Mike Brown. I got eternal confidence right now. Your coach might want me if he watches that. I didn't say all that, but I just said, hey, I might be a Bear tomorrow, man. I don't know. You said something about talking back to coaches and having a bad mental space. So I got in a little bit of a bad mental space with the coaches. I wasn't vibing with the head coach. I wasn't really feeling any of the coaches or the players at the Rams. He was putting me in there. I was getting plays, and I messed up once in practice, and I thought I did the right thing, and I knew it was written up twice in the playbook under 2 different circumstances. So I was confused on which exactly, choreography step I was supposed to take on this backside flare block or whatever. And so I played it safe with some inside out, and he wanted it stepped a different way. And my patience had run out, which is so stupid. Just keep being a student. I just had a moment where I talked back to the coach in front of the whole team.
Oof.
And the wind got sucked out of the room, man. But he was like, you got it? And I'm like, got it now. And that was a shot to the tight end coaches. The tight end coach assistant came after me in the locker room. And this was the film session right before a preseason game against the Chiefs. So we fly over to play the Chiefs. And it was like a 10-minute flight or whatever. It was a 20-minute flight from St. Louis to Kansas City. After I had said this in the meeting. And the reason why I didn't like Martz, was my fault. But he reminded me of condescending men in my past. who his style was rubbed me the wrong way. He would like demean a rookie and film to make Torrey Holt laugh, devastate the rookie, cut him the next day. I'd seen coaches that were a little more elegant about how wicked they were. Coughlin was one of them. He was extremely harsh, but fair and predictable, you know? Yeah, I think it's part of my upbringing, just with Utah and Mormonism. When Martz was on me, I just wasn't in the mood for any more of that type of, like, hey man, write it up clearly in your book. All the other tight ends, I think, did it the same way I did, but I'm the only one that got yelled at. Like, I just didn't believe him. And I didn't, like you said, I didn't want to fit in on this defense. I didn't know if I wanted to play for these guys. And that was it. We flew over to Kansas City, and I might as well have had, like, polio and chicken pox and like COVID and like just herpes all over my face, man. I might as well have been like persona non grata. Like it got icy that day. I ended up getting pulled off of every special team right before like I was about to go out on punt team. Someone came tap my shoulder, Prince, I got you on this. They pulled me off of every single thing I did and touched the field against the Chiefs. And I just watched the game from Arrowhead. And prior to that, one game prior, to bring it back to about the kids. So I got cut the next day. I was out of there. And that was the end of my NFL experience. And I probably would have got cut anyway. But I definitely didn't need to hasten it by copping an attitude in a team meeting. And I wish I could have that back. But prior to that, we'd had a game and I'd given up a sack against the Bears. I thought I had help. This DN got my outside shoulder, and DNs are supposed to whip tight ends on pass rush anyway. And I thought I had another tight end, and I didn't, so I didn't set up square on him. Ooh, he ran right by me, sacked our guy when we had an out-and-out play with a long time frame. And I felt like the reason we had lost was on me, and that I'd really smashed my opportunity with the Rams with my play that day, and that I was feeling terribly low. So when the game wrapped, I was in the shower room first. I was out first, and I was heading for the bus while some guys still hadn't even come off the field, right? And I just didn't know what was in my future. Apparently in my future, a week later, I was going to talk shit in a meeting and get cut. But I was feeling really, really like, oh man, I suck. I'm washed. Everybody's better than me. My time's passed. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to go home and defeat and face the music. And as I walked out of the locker room, I slipped out anonymously, but I had my Rams, warm-up gear on or whatever, my Rams bag, all the team issue. And I followed the way they have barricaded, goes out of that dome in downtown St. Louis and across the street to where the buses are going to take players back to the hotel. And I opened the door to that bus, and I don't know if it was like Little League night or something. Invite all the teams of the St. Louis greater metro area to wear their jersey to a free preseason game or something. But I opened the door, and out there waiting for the players, because I was the first one, so I'm like, I got to hide my face. I got to get out of this city. I'm a loser. And I get to the door, and I get a reality check that NFL players are so looked up to and so admired. Because I opened the door, and there might have been 2,000 kids in jerseys. Yeah, players. Yeah, oh man. And I walked down, and none of them knew who I was. So I was like, if you know who I am, I'll give you $20. And the dad's like, what's your number? I'm like, no cheating, bro. If you know who I am, I'll up to 200. And I'm vandalizing their programs, and I'm vandalizing their little ball. And that's what I felt like. I felt like I'm vandalizing your possessions. I'm sorry that it has to be me here, but
I'm sorry, I'm the first one.
I was like, better, more valuable signatures will come. I wasn't trying to take up a lot of space. I just felt like a loser, but also it just brought me back to when I was a kid, and I really worshiped these guys. And I had a picture of Jerry Rice on my wall, and I got to be his teammate on the Raiders in the preseason and be in a huddle with him. And I got a picture with him. He's the only autograph that I bothered to try to acquire because I didn't want to bother the special guys like Marshall Faulk,
right?
Wonderful Fred Taylor, Tony Pacelli. I got to play with some really LaDainian Tomlinson, Drew Brees, some incredible players, the greatest show on turf Rams, and then the Raiders had icons all over the roster. And Jerry Rice really was special to me because he was my hero growing up. So I do have a photo of me and him when I got caught. I asked him if he'd pose with me.
Nice.
He looks great. So. And he's wearing my high school colors, brown and gold, which nobody ever.
There you go.
It's a rare color scheme, but
wow, that journey though, man. Your journey, that's crazy because it's not always your journey is necessarily not just for you. You could have inspired one of those kids to, be better just because you signed their, signed their football or their poster or whatever it is. And that's the crazy part about life.
What? I got a Facebook message. I quit Facebook, right? I don't even use it.
I was wondering what happened to you.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't a resource that I was enjoying. So I was out of there. And then this is still like 8 years ago or something. I logged on and I had a message from some fan that was like, I don't know if you'll ever read this, but you were so nice to us.
See? Telling you, man.
You were the one that stopped to talk. You were so nice, and you're our favorite player.
That's crazy, right? But
that's crazy.
It doesn't take much,
awesome,
man. It doesn't take much. And when they think you're so cool, you can't think you're that cool. Like, you got to give them some love, And And if it can't go, at the Raiders, I did this cool thing for this kid, man. Did you ever see a practice like the sponsors or whoever, friends of the program would have their sons out watching actual practice or getting run as ball boys or something like that? Well, there's this day at the Raiders where we were doing special teams practice, and there's some people standing around with their kids, and they were off the side of the field, and we weren't standing on that sideline. We were using this sideline in 2 fields, right? Mm-hmm. And then it was like kickoff return drill, and I'm R5 or whatever, And so when it wasn't my turn, it was easier for me to just be over by these people than to jog all the way across, to take my reps on and off. And there's a water station out there. So I go over there and I'm like, hey, kid, hold this. I got to get a drink.
Got a Coke?
It's my Raiders helmet, which when I got issued that Raiders helmet, that was special to me because that just was such an iconic helmet. I can't believe it was mine, Like,
do you get to at least keep the equipment? Like, do you have all the helmets?
Or do you have like shorts and shirts you don't keep no helmets.
You don't get to keep the helmets, huh? Dang.
No, I was a Miami fan, so I grew up.
Yeah.
I love Dan Marino. So
that's right. He just was like, whoa, Dad, what's up? But I hope at some point maybe he's out there, like, organizing a rec league or a player or coach himself.
That's what I'm saying.
Because if you love the game, then finding a role in it to contribute is really cool.
Yeah.
And I've been able to help coach out with my friend who was the head coach out of Kearns High School here in Salt Lake City. And he would let me come and have free reign because I didn't always have time to be on his actual staff. But he's like, anytime you want to come contribute, come on out here. And some of those boom bust cycles of my life, like I had to get away from football for a little bit. And then it just came back to it in my mid-30s. And I really just still have a big love of the game. You can't give away like that black belt you earned, Mm-hmm. Like the knowledge we have of technique is rare knowledge.
Oh, yeah.
So you actually earn a black belt. It's like, you know how to handle cloud coverage and stunt blitz and how to jam safeties. And like the things you did are valuable, So the give back is actually kind of, I think, our responsibility a little bit.
It is. That's no doubt about it.
Yeah. I mean, so how many years ago? It's probably at least 7 or 8 years, I think. Went up against him. I was like, I just want to see what it's like to be up against one of you guys. And he was like, we were about this far apart from one another. I tossed him the ball and he came running at me. And I was just like, and I froze in place. And he literally got here and then spun around and then passed me. And
took your elbow down, bro.
Yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, and I'm looking at you, and I'm like, how the hell do you run at a guy like that? And just, it's incredible because, and the speed, and he took 3 steps at me and then spun around and went past me. And I couldn't imagine full speed.
He told you it's all about physics. So if you run in a 4.8 and I run a high 4.3, 4.4, so when you see my speed coming and I'm just, he's going to think.
It hurts so bad. It hurts so bad.
So it's all, like I said, it's all of my game.
Yeah. You were saying before, and we're pretty close to coming to an end here. So real quick, the post-traumatic pain, like you were talking, like watching a game.
Okay.
And you could feel the hits.
So I don't know if this happened to you, but I got in a lot of hits that just shook my bones, just rattled my whole thing. And I hope that I was on the winning side of it. I hope the other guy felt some good pain here and there too. But I was on the NFL kickoff teams and stuff. Like, we got busy. So when I was out of football, when I'd watch football, when there was a good hit, even if it was just an ISO linebacker on fullback or any kind of position that I could relate to, I could feel the shiver up my spine watching other people play the game. And I literally had to stop watching it. Because when you see like a horror film or some crazy car crash or something really gnarly, like, and it gives you that weird shiver of pain up your own balls. Like, yeah, I was getting that watching other, and I was like, I'm not interested in feeling like this. Like, I've done this. I got to get away from this. Like, I'm done being in pain. Like, I'm not doing that game anymore, so I don't want to feel it.
Did you feel the physical pain, or was it just
when I'd watch football, I could feel the shocks like it was my car crash, and I needed that to stop. So I stopped watching football for like a decade.
Wow.
From like 26 to 34, I'd say.
No kidding.
35, I just treated it real casual and got busy in my other work. Focused on the other aspects of my life.
How about you?
So I can't watch anything that has to do with like ankle breaks or leg breaks. I can't. I love gore, horror movies and all
Let's
that.
talk about that before we go too.
Yeah, so I have I have 2 torn ACLs. I have a pin in my right ACL and a pin in my left ACL. I have a pin in my left ankle from football, and I have a ligament injury in my neck and shoulder from Notre Dame game. My last game at BYU. Yep. So
the Holy War games.
Yeah. So football, did a number on me, but I love the game, and it taught me so much more. Not just football, but like life. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. But yeah, I can't watch anything that has to do with anywhere breaks below the knees.
Yeah. Do you have any pins or anything on you, or like?
Yeah, I've got a screw up my left fifth metatarsal in my foot, the outside pinky bone. Got a healthy long screw. I broke that bone in college I was talking about.
Yeah.
And they just throw a big old screw up the middle of it. And he's like, don't break it. Shit'll shatter if you break that. And then in college, I had a dislocated shoulder that they put back together back then, but it was supposed to be dissolvable anchors. And those should have absorbed by now.
And they're like, let's do a quick x-ray and see.
Other than that, I'll tell you what my biggest problem coming out was, I identified it 4 years ago, was that my neck and my skull, the way they interfaced, should have been 0 degrees straight on. It was 4 degrees tilted, which was leading to downward scoliosis, misangling of my skeleton, and also probably constricted blood flow coming and going through cerebral spinal fluid and tissue.
Oh, yeah, that's what you're saying. So
yeah, so getting that little adjustment really helped line up the rest of my skeleton, helped me snap, crackle, Humpty Dumpty, put myself back together again. So since then, I've been able to be a lot more healthy.
Nice.
And physical without introducing orthopedic pain, because I've got like really close discs. I was told in my 30s I'm like 100% guaranteed to have spine fusions in the future. Damn. And I was heading for that because when I'd sneeze, I'd feel shocks of pain down my legs.
Oh, damn.
And I knew the bones were on those nerves. And the doctor told me, just watch for this is when I was 37 and now I'm 45.
Oh, you're just a young guy.
He said, watch. When I'm 37, I'm sitting there being like, hey, why am I getting this pain? And he's like, well, here's the x-ray. It says you've got 1 and 2 millimeters of space where there should be 6 and 7. So these cords of nerves are coming through a 1 millimeter gap, 2 millimeter gap, and they're touching the bone when you wiggle or move or load your body. So you got to take it easy. And this nerve closest to the bones is the one that goes to your big toes. So watch for your big toes to go numb or go offline or lose power. That'll be my sign that we can do a surgery on you. So good luck, son. You're doomed. And I walked out of there pretty defeated, 37 years old, and I kind of stopped working out and I stopped doing anything that I thought would damage it. And that strategy
makes it worse.
Made it a lot worse. And I got fat and atrophied in support structural muscles I really needed.
Yeah, which caused all the pain to come.
And I was misangled, and I was literally like, it was weird because it's almost like you get angry for no reason type of thing. The CTE hit the news. I had a few times where I was like, oh man, is this me? Am I turning into a nut job? Do I need to really check my behavior? Was this an impulse situation like building up? Because I tell you what, a lot of it's because I'm really in pain. So can I get to the root of that? And when I got this little adjustment and orientation, my AC joint cracked into place that night. My lower back pain kind of cracked. There were a lot of weird, like a rib cage orientation to my actual anatomic skeletal line. That so many heat-seeking strong safeties had sought to reorient. Man. And as soon as I was able to get myself right with my angle, my own posture and spine, I was like, wow, I can use my shoulder again. I hadn't been able to lift my shoulder above 90 degrees for about 10 years.
Yeah, I think when we first met, you were having troubles. You were talking about pain with lifting your arm or
I
something.
could show you the x-ray of my shoulder. I had that shoulder surgery in college, so now it's been 25 years. It's end-stage osteoarthritis is the diagnosis. He's like, you have end-stage osteoarthritis of the glenoid rim and the upper humeral head. It's a shoulder replacement surgery, like a hip replacement or a knee replacement, which I don't want. So instead of that, I started training to be able to do a pull-up again. Because I feel like a lot of my pain isn't actually coming from the glenoid rim. It's my scapula, my AC joint, my collarbone. I just need to re-access the muscularity. Been introducing pain to reduce pain as a theory, and introducing it in the weight room and getting my symmetry and my strength back. So I've been on kind of a 2 or 3 year journey of rebuilding my muscularity.
Yeah, that's like me with...
Sucks, man.
With yoga. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean...
Paying the piper for my shot at early glory.
I took a long time off. And yeah, it's when I don't work out, my lower back hurts and my left leg quits working because I have my L4, L5, the disc burst. So there
you go.
My left leg was like
lifetime management
done. And they gave me an injection in my back. I don't know what the hell they did. Where they gave me a 7-inch epidural into my spine, had me laying on a table. I was in a wheelchair for about 2 months because I couldn't walk. And they ended up giving me an injection into my spine right on the nerve where because my left leg just quit working. And the only kind of movement I could make was blinking without screaming in pain. And just like you said, the pain...
It's what puts you in a bad mood.
Yeah.
I'm in a bad mood because I'm grouchy.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not trying to be a dick, but I can't help it because I am in constant pain.
I felt like I had to be. I felt like that wasn't anybody else's problem. My pain's my issue. My consequences are from my choices.
Yeah.
I'm at peace with it.
But it's still
it's my cross to bear. And if I complain about it, no one gives a shit. So don't complain about it, fix it.
Yeah. Well, so I finally, so now I'm literally talk about being completely out of shape. Like I said, I mean, my son's showing me yoga and he's like, yeah, just touch your toes. And I used to be able to fold myself in half and I could barely touch my toes now. And he's like, okay, now just put your arm over here and stretch and bend your knees. And I tore my MCL last summer, and it's taken about 7 months for it to finally get to a point where I can actually bend my knee and put pressure on it without it like hurting.
Wow, no surgery needed?
I wouldn't say that. I just didn't go because I've torn my MCL before and I knew about what it was. I was like, because that's what happened when I was downhill skiing. I was training for downhill and I spun my knee out 3 times. So it spun, then I spun, then it spun, and I spun from the knee. So I was just doing this shit until everything realigned when I finally came to a complete stop. And at that point I tore my MCL, ACL, or hyperextended. Well, no, I had a grade 3 tear in my MCL, grade 2 tear in my ACL, and grade 1 in my LCL. Is that right?
How long ago was that?
I was 21, 22. I was training for downhill skiing, Olympics. And that's what took me out of the Olympics is I was training and I was going down, and in the apex, my legs spread out and my tips went in and my left ski came off. My right one stayed in because they're cranked down to 10. So they didn't come off for the high speeds and all the chatter and shit. And
your DIN was on a 10?
Yeah, my skis were on a 10 because I was, going as fast as I could. If you hit chatter and your ski pops off, you might as well and you hit anything, you might as well just.
For a few years there, I was skiing with my skis at a 14.
Shit. So you were just glued. They were just super glued.
I didn't want those things coming off because you could see it. Yeah. I've been skiing longer than I played football. I love skiing.
Yeah. And so I was...
And I'm back skiing now. I got this orientation thing done. I had to kind of minimize it. I was in a lot of pain after I get done skiing. I'd be in a lot of pain.
I want to get back into that because so wintertime I was downhill and summertime I was cycling. So I was always working on legs.
You want to come learn how to ski?
Nah, I would never touch it.
We'll keep you warm, bro. I'll dress you right.
I told you about my ACLs. Hearing that story? Oh, yeah.
Oh, dude.
I will definitely never touch a ski ever.
Yeah, Bunny Hills, man. Bunny Hills.
Nah.
Once you get going, you'll feel that speed and you'll be like, all right, let's go to the next run. And then you'll be like, all right, let's take that black diamond.
This is how I feel about running a marathon or something.
I cannot. I don't get runners like that shit. Thinking about running, just my knees instantly ache. I can't even think about running. But put me on skis, get me on my bike, and I'll go as fast as I can. Like that was the one thing. Training is for me the reward of going up the hill was going down the hill. And so like going up Parley's, I'd ride up to the top of Parley's, and then my reward was like drafting semis on my bike. And I would just be full tuck, holding in, and I'd just be right behind a semi truck.
Surfing that wind wave.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Because it
That's
was
dangerous. That can blow you forward.
Oh, it was.
It can blow your back tire off.
You're just throwing, you can fishtail off and everything. So there is a very narrow window where you can get behind a semi where you're about from here to that wall. So you're doing about 65, 70 miles an hour. And I was just drafting that thing as fast as I could. And I would, because speed, man.
Yeah, it's fun.
Because it's speed. It's
I've done that.
as fast as you can go down a hill.
I got into cycling because it was like healthy for my back when I was younger. I was putting on the spandex and getting out there, man.
Yeah.
It's fun.
Dude, I could lay.
And then we can bring it coming downhill, a heavy guy. You can start getting, it's fun.
You should ride the bike, just take it up to 45th, and then just ride it straight down.
That's too steep.
Oh, that's so fun, man. The worst part is the ramp from the mountain and then over 215. That's the steepest part of 45th is that little stretch, just that bridge going up and over.
Yeah.
But man, you're just turn around and you just ride down.
I would only descend that when I had my daily loop. I'd go up 39th. 'Cause I had a nice bike lane. It was a lot more tame up an incline.
39th is good and it's a lot longer. Like 45th is just, but
it's
at
too
least
much. It's too much.
39th is nice and long, and you can ride that all the way to State Street.
That's y'all type of adrenaline rush, huh? Yeah.
Oh, dude, yeah. No, that speed is my friend. Like between racing cars, going downhill on a bike, or
racing cars. That sounds fun, but going down the hill on a bike fast as you can, and all you gotta do is hit one little rock.
Yeah.
All your teeth.
Yeah.
That's all your teeth.
Rearrange your whole life.
Nah,
face.
You don't hit a rock. You don't hit a rock because you don't remember if you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had, I absolutely, I've been pretty lucky. I've only been hit by 2 cars on my bike.
I got hit by a minivan. I woke up in the hospital.
Dude, I ran over a VW Beetle. Because the asshole turned in front of me.
Yeah.
This guy, I was on 13th and State, and I had crossed State, and this guy turned in front of me.
Yeah.
And I rolled up and over the Beetle and hit the ground, and that piece of shit drove off and parked his car. And I literally rolled up and over and hit the ground, and I was laying on the right lane, just laying there. People on the other side heading eastbound. I was going west. People on the eastbound looked over at me, and nobody helped me. And I'm just laying there in the middle of the road, and I'm like, all right. And then this guy just puddles off and parks his car. So I get up, I'm scratched up, and I go up to him, and I'm like, hey, you piece of shit, you just ran me over. I'm like, you going to check on me or anything? And he's like, fuck you. And he like threw this attitude, and I grabbed my handlebars on my bike, and I smashed my bike through the back of his windshield.
Do you want to admit to this?
Yeah. This is so long ago. Like, what are they going to do? The guy's probably dead by now. He was already in his 70s. Yeah. Anyway, so literally I smashed my bike through his back of his windshield, and he's like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, do you want me to call the police and tell them what happened, or do you just want to pay for a new rear window? And he was just like, fuck you. And he like walked off. I'm like, fuck me. You ran me over, you piece of shit. I'm like, and he just drove off, But yeah, that's the one and only time I've actually ever seeked revenge on somebody that did that. But yeah, this guy literally I was going along. He just did this really quick turn right in front of me. And I just popped up and over him, and he just drove off and parked his car. Just like, you piece of shit.
Talk about football preparing you for life. I was cruising, and I had to make a left in a busy zone. So I decided to get on the wrong side of the road when there was a big clearing. I was coming east on 126 South out of Riverton.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Before it curves down to the Jordan River and becomes 123rd through Draper. And when I was crossing 13th West, someone caught me from behind and took a sweeping left in front of me. Obviously, they're not expecting a bike traveling the same way as them on their left.
Right.
Those bikes should be over on their right. It was all green lights. Nobody else was there but me and them. And I was going 30 miles an hour. And that minivan appeared. And all I thought was, fuck you, minivan. And it was the same thing as like, hammer the nail. I'm running that kickoff team. There's number 68. I got to take out his outside shoulder. That boy's about to get it. And it's like, if I'm going to get hurt,
someone else is
you're
too.
getting hurt too. That was a big part of it. And like literally a lifetime of impact training, smashing into football players. In a blink of that thing appearing, I can't stop. And I hit it right on the A pillar, like we were in the Super Bowl, and I wanted that bonus in that ring. And I guess I got hit up in the air like a pitching wedge off a windshield. My bike was taco destroyed. Top tube snapped. Down tube snapped.
Dang.
It was in two pieces in the back seat of a Saab next time I saw it. And the front wheel was completely tacoed. And I just remember the backflips that I got hit for in football. I remember the sun just going. So I was like, all right, I'm flipping. And then I think I landed on back shoulder and the back of my head because my helmet got some and all my electronics in my back pocket. Like my garage door opener was destroyed open. My cell phone was smashed, and it was T9 Word back then, little flip phones.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I pulled out that smashed thing, and I was so good at T9 Word that I texted my then wife, ex-wife now, hey, I got in a crash. I'll call you in a minute. And I couldn't even see the screen, and I don't remember sending that. And some guy was like, sit down. Next thing you know, I'm in an ambulance. Next thing you know, I'm in the hospital. And I'm sitting there, and they're like, what happened and stuff. And a policeman came in and gave me a ticket. Because it was my fault, and they had to assign blame for the insurance. But man, I think if we went back and reviewed the film, I put a pretty good hit on that vent. I must have scared the absolute shit out of this lady. Can you imagine me coming at you 30 miles an hour and be like hitting a damn moose? So,
oh my God!
I hope she's okay because I walked away fine. But
That's funny.
yeah, I was like, I'm all right.
One more thing. You've got a film, Algia. You got some other things. Tell the world about what you've got, what's coming out, what's coming.
So Algia, John, he's actually a part of. He's a producer on this film. We signed a sales rep deal with Black Mandala Films in New Zealand. Now it's under Red Owl Films, which is their sister company. And we just got a distribution deal. We should know within a week or two, hopefully, about the release date.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, got that. Got American Dream. Got Witch of Wonderland that I'm producing on with the Farmers.
Yep.
What else? We got Ultimate Sacrifice script that we're getting work done to, written by Chappelle Griggs. We just trying to keep moving and keep motivating and keep inspiring, as we go in this thing that we call life. So just keeping it moving.
Yep. What about you? What do you got going on? What's rolling in you?
My day-to-day, I just have tried to instill like sustainable self-management. I will get up, get in the weight room. It's really help healing me.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet, but I'm down a lot of pounds and my power to weight ratio's up and I'm getting out of shoulder pain and trying to
drink the sauce.
Keeping it real simple right now. we got a family company going and I got responsibilities running around my boys. They're real active and young. So I'm keeping it real simple, and on business front, I'm trusting my partners a lot. And as things come along, there's going to be some opportunities. So
please send your mom my best.
Yeah, she's great.
Yeah.
She's one of the best chefs ever.
Damn straight.
She's
God, those samples. We went to her house, and she has a kitchen table about twice the size of this desk, and she just laid out all this because we were, when I had bonfire honey and everything, we were trying to come up with different ideas, and she laid out this spread of food with using that. And with the ingredients, and they were just insane. The salad dressing, that one still, dude. Oh, remind me to give you guys the barbecue sauce. I made some bonfire barbecue sauce.
Cool.
And it is the shit.
Cool.
Okay. So Yeah.
Yeah, you weren't expecting that salad dressing. You thought we were just going to do desserts and stuff.
I had no idea, man. And she brought in the ramen. She brought in the noodles. She brought
cooks
in
with honey because that's the sweetener to avoid having a sugar sweetener. Like she cooks, tries to use non-sugar and healthy theory. Excellent. I
would be willing to bring it back if I could get a backer, like legit. Like if I can get somebody to take a look at all the things like that, I'd be back on that. But now there's just
glad
so
it's
much
working
going on.
for you to keep you healthy.
Dude, I haven't had any joint issues, and once I start getting back into shape and all that, I know it'll help with everything else. But even my blood pressure's down a little bit. It's up, but that's because I'm out of shape and I haven't been riding my bike.
Can I tell you something that helped me decide to get back into shape? Is that lean into what you know.
Yeah.
You're good at it already. I knew how to use the weight room. I knew how to do the moves. It just is like holding the bar hurts more on my left arm than my right arm. We'll get it to even. Do the, like, it's actually,
I gotta do
when
that.
I didn't have a game on Sunday to lift for, or some first camp to train for, or some impending anxiety event to prove myself at, being in the weight room actually is bringing me like a lot of peace. It's more of a chill journey then.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to prove much except for just to improve every day.
Yeah.
And not feel old, and it's helping me feel younger. So I'd really lean into it. I think you really have done yourself a huge favor by keeping these good habits.
Oh yeah.
Help you stay good looking, feel young. If you don't give those up, you'll have a great, healthy life that way.
Yep.
Because it can really get taken from you. The health is wealth, man.
Indeed.
Oh yeah, I definitely work out every single day because work on the good habits.
Hold it in an Olympic bar. Hold it. Move it around. Watch how your shoulders react. Like stay capable.
It's good for your mental. Like working out is definitely good for your mental.
Yeah, that's my biggest, is that the pain just messes with my head.
It's temporary, and I would encourage you to make sure that your spine's aligned. 'Cause as soon as I got mine on triangulated property, I can hold weight.
Yeah, I
wasn't squatting anything for a while because of pain. But when I was lined up right,
man, my family
things
hate
go
when I say
right.
that shit. When I say pain is temporary, because that's my mindset, right?
Yeah.
They hate when I say that because
You're like, what are you talking about?
hey, you feel me? Ryan get me. But yeah, man, pain is temporary.
get on that foam roller. Fix
But
it.
even if it's not, man, we need pain. That's how we learn. That's how we grow. That's how we get through shit. So pain is okay.
Yeah.
All right, I'll cap it here. I've talked plenty. Jaguar's weight room, when I first walked in there, was a big room. And in big 4-foot letters down one side of this big room, it said a sentence: the more familiar you become with pain, the better you're able to control it. And I was like, what are they about to do to me in here? Like, what is that? Oh, shit. And literally, it's just how much burn can you do? You've cycled for hundreds of miles. You can do a lot of burn. How much breathing can you do to get through? How much stress can you handle? How much bandwidth are you going to apply? It's just, the more you're familiar with the grind is easy. You can control it. I love that quote now.
One last question. How much could you bench? What was your max?
I don't max. I'm a superset guy. Like I work out for endurance because that's like I'm naturally strong. I do like daily. I try to do 500 push-ups.
Daily.
Yeah,
daily.
that's
So
cool.
I'm a supersetter. I'm not a
Goddamn,
power lifter.
Damn.
I'm in your world now.
Yeah.
I've been doing, like today it was 30 seconds of rower, 10 front squats with a push.
Yep.
In a 90-second break, back to the 30 seconds of rower. And in the 90 seconds of recovery, you do 10 harder thrusts or something.
See, so you got to figure out what workout makes
for an
you
hour.
is good for you. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I've been doing supersets for a long time. I haven't benched since like BYU NFL days, like really benching 300 plays. I don't work out like
Did
that.
you
no
do
more.
225?
Oh yeah, 225. I
then?
think the most I did was 19. 225, 19 times. 18.
Strongest DB in the building, bro. That's an incredible number for a DB.
Pound for pound, hardest hitter.
Yo.
College football, 2003.
I'll vouch for that. I got 20, and that was a strong tight end. To get 19 at your position is outstanding. That'd be like me getting 33 or something, 35.
What was your max?
Probably 365, 380, but 225 I
Nice.
did. The most I ever did it at one is 20.
So you see, endurance.
Yeah,
I always did supersets. So I always trained different things I never did as far as working out. Like I would never do anything that hurt my back, that a possibility to hurt my back. I always strayed away, and coaches used to get mad at me, but I never messed with it. And I always did supersets because I worked out on endurance as far as so I could really be naturally stronger than people I'm playing against.
Yeah.
Smart.
When I was in college up in Alaska, I worked out with a guy that used to play at University of Anchorage. So he was kind of my spotter and all that. And my max was 320 once.
Good job, man.
And
That's
then,
good.
And then we'd drop the 20 and then go down until we got to the bar. Then you just do the bar until you couldn't lift the bar anymore.
That's good, though.
And we do that once a week. And then every other day we would, just do like 200, 220, something like that. And just, 10 of those and just keep going and back and forth. But that was, when I was 18. And that was the most I could ever do was 320 once. And after we would do those burnouts, I couldn't even lift a fork because, you do all the way down to the bars. And then you go, and I couldn't even feed myself. My girlfriend at the time would have to feed me dinner. Because I'm like,
that's that good pain right there. That's the pain I crave for, but I can't get. It's hard for me to get that type of pain. I
got one for you. Get back under a bar and do 225. 10 sets of 10 is your goal. If you can't get 10, that's fine, but you have to try 10 times because I guarantee you it's going to be really familiar. You'll be able to get 10 on your first set.
I don't know, man. It's been a long time since I bench pressed like that, like for real.
Okay, well then build
I
back
could barely
up to
do
it with
15
less.
push-ups right now, so I'm getting right back to the very basics of like 10 push-ups. Like fuck, because my shoulders and all that. So I got to get back into it.
I've been building back into this for like a year. I never thought I'd get under that kind of weight again. And then the other day we did that kind of a workout. Ended up with 60-something reps of it.
Yeah, I just have to get back into it. That's all I got to say, man. I just have to get back into it, plain and simple. So thank you guys. Seriously, this has been a lot of fun. I love football. This really gives me a better insight when I watch it, what the guys go through. It's been a blast, man. And if you guys ever want to come back, we'll talk about the film. You want to come back, co-host, get your show going on. Let's put all that together, man. I'm all about it. And if you want to do a show too, like an Algea show, Inglewood Films podcast, right here.
Thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks, you.
brother.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
All right, well, that's it. I'm Johnny C. This is Utah Music Radio. This is the very first podcast, and it was a great one. All right, I will talk to you guys later, and thanks for listening.
You're listening to Radio.
Join Johnny C. and Mateo as we interview musicians, filmmakers, business owners, and community leaders supporting our local industries on UtahMusicRadio.com.